If, like me, you started getting tightness in your shoulders, in your hamstrings, in your quads, in your back, in your neck, or if you've seen instability in your hips, your ankles, or your wrists, this is the mobility program for you. All right, so before we get into all the stretching and mobility exercise, I want to talk a little about why I'm doing this. Now, I see a lot of videos out there that are focused on mobility, but they don't really seem to have any background or reason to work. So I am familiar with an old saying from the martial arts that says, be like bamboo, flexible so that you don't break, but stiff and sturdy enough to withstand the wind. You could probably guess that my method is going to be influenced by my martial arts background. It's also going to be influenced by my background when I was a personal trainer, corrective exercise specialist. I'm also influenced by yoga, and still, I'm willing to change it up. I actually watched Dr. Andrew Huberman's video on flexibility recently, and I decided, hey, I'm going to change things. I'm going to incorporate some of those principles, so I'm going to be sharing those principles throughout to maximize the flexibility gains that you can get through this program. To that end, I'm going to encourage you throughout the video to do 3 sets, 30 seconds per stretch for any of the flexibility elements of this video. I'm going to be going a lot faster than that, so just keep that in mind throughout the video. And the other thing is, I am doing this warmed up. Don't go into this cold. That's for a different video, different time. This is not something to do before your exercise. All right, so we're gonna get going. We're gonna start off with the ankles. Now, I am doing this with shoes on. Of course, you can do this without shoes, and in that case, you could actually rotate the toes. I'm just gonna rotate the ankles about 5 to 9 times in each direction. You just pick your favorite number there. This is going to stabilize the ankles, help you prevent them from rolling, help you prevent them from twisting, and it strengthens them. I'm gonna do that on the other side. You can guide it with your hand. If you struggle, you can also bring it up here instead or out a little bit. It doesn't really matter. You'll notice I am doing these in my Xeros because they have a lot of flexibility in the sole. I can point the toes down at the bottom and curl my toes, point my toes up at the arch, curl them at the bottom. Good stuff. Next up, I want to just talk quickly. A lot of people are saying that the ability to stand up from seated is some kind of mobility test. I think it's a skill that you could learn. So let's learn how to do it. I'm going to turn sideways just to make this a little bit easier for you. So what we can do, and I purposely crossed my legs in a way that's a little awkward for me, makes it a little more challenging. I'm going to roll onto my knees. I'm going to straighten those legs out. And from here, I'm just going to raise up one leg, raise the other. Look at that. It's not exactly a mobility test, but it is interesting. All right, let's move on. We're going to go into quads and hamstrings. This will be pretty straightforward. You've probably seen this stretch before, sometimes called the forward floss. So all we're going to do is reach forward. You can bend your knees if you need to. I'm lacking a little mobility in my hamstrings right now, so I might bend my knees just a hair in order for me to get all the way to the ground, nice and comfy, and breathe in. Of course, the goal at the end of the day is to have the legs straight if possible. And then we're going to come up. This is for the quad. Alternate to the other side. Now I'm doing these really fast for demonstration's sake because holding for 30 seconds just doesn't look great on video. But keep in mind, 3 sets, 30 seconds for each of the stretches themselves. I'm going to call out the stability exercises, those you don't need to be doing that much with. Next up, this is a little bit more of a stretch, and this one's going to be for the hips. So we're going to go in and out. And again, I'm holding the wall for a little bit extra stability. Just like with the ankles, you can do your favorite number, 9 probably at the most. And you want to go to the other side. Note here, I'm not stopping at the flat point. I'm actually pushing a little bit past it. This gets a full range of motion for what your hip can go through. Now, try not to force it. Definitely don't make this painful for yourself. Woo! All right, you can see I need a little more stability there. Next up, we're going to work our way up the spine here. So we're going to do some twists. Now, there are very complex versions of these. Let's make it easy. wall twists. All right. Again, you'd hold this for 30 seconds. I'm going to show this from a side view as well. You can do it side or either way. Holding this and using it to twist, also twisting the spine and the head is very important to get everything engaged. 3 sets, 30 seconds. I'm going to say this a lot today. Moving our way up. Again, we're keeping it really simple today. Cross. Cross, nice and easy. The superset of this those are pretty common. I won't put a lot of time into explaining them, but they are great stretches. 3 sets, 30 seconds. All right, this next one is a stability boost for the shoulders. Notice the hands alternate each time. Notice I'm not swinging. This should be nice and slow. This will help build up stability in the shoulders, strengthen. All right, next up, wrists. This is gonna look a little bit weird, so just bear with me. Just like we did with the feet, this is a stability exercise. Pick your favorite number. I do credit this particular movement for the reason I haven't had a wrist injury in 30 years. So, very, very important. All right, once the wrists are done, we want to move to the head. Again, keeping it nice and simple, I do recommend you look up deep neck flexors. That's a little bit more advanced stretching. To keep it simple today, I'm just going to do regular neck stretches. That's down. That's up. Now for the left and right, we're going to reach with the opposite hand. So as I'm going to go to my right, reach down with my left hand. And as I go to the left, reach down with my right hand. And then we can also do some turns, although it is a little repetitive because we've already done some turns. Keep in mind, 30 seconds, 3 sets. One other thing I want to mention, I have seen some people doing videos about rotations of the neck. That is not a good idea from everything I've learned. That can actually cause a lot of damage, especially when you do it fast. Remember, with all these exercises, you're doing them slow, controlled, and I really do hope they help. All right, I gotta give you a couple of quick notes. Now that was a pretty good stretch, so my brain's not completely there. I'm gonna be using my phone for notes here. But one thing I wanna mention here, to maximize flexibility, again, according to Dr. Huberman, you're really gonna need to do these 5 days a week if you're doing 30 seconds. If you don't have that kind of time, you can potentially do these holds for 60 seconds, 3 days a week. Hey, that's something. Now, my second note on here, this is a really basic stretching system. I just tried to boil it down to the minimum necessary. What is the least amount of stretches you can do and still see some improvements. But depending on how this video does, maybe I'll put out more in the future. Also, I am using a big mat here. You don't need a mat. You notice I'm even doing this with shoes on. So you can do this at any time, any place, anywhere pretty much, as long as you're comfortable sitting down there at some point for the ankle stretches. And honestly, even if you're not, just do those while standing too. Lastly, if you have questions, please throw them in the comments down below. And if you're interested in more videos like this one right here, subscribe.